Welcome to our podcast, where listening is learning. In today's fast-paced world, finding time to learn something new can be challenging. That's why our podcast is designed to be the perfect solution for busy people like you. With our short and sweet episodes, you can learn something new while doing other tasks, such as working, studying, or exercising. Plus, listening to our show is a great way to stay informed and inspired, with new ideas and perspectives that can help you improve your personal and professional life. So, whether you're a seasoned podcast listener or a first-timer, we're glad to have you here. Get ready to learn something new, be entertained, and have some fun. So, without wasting time, let's get started.
Welcome to the podcast. This is Mike, your host. And today we have guest with us, David. He is an author, educator, and expert in the field of psychology. David, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi Mike, it's great to be here as you said. I'm an author and educator in the field of psychology. I've been studying and researching human behavior for over a decade now, and I'm excited to share some of my insights with your listeners today.
That's great, David. So, today we're going to be discussing one of the most fascinating topics in psychology, the science of happiness. As we all know, happiness is a subjective experience and it can mean different things to different people. But what is it that makes us truly happy? That's what we're going to explore today.
Yes, Mike. Happiness is something that we all strive for, but it's not always easy to achieve, however. There are certain practices and habits that can increase our chances of experiencing happiness in our daily lives.
Absolutely, and I can't wait to hear more about them. So, let's dive right into it.
Sure, so let's start by talking about what happiness really is. Happiness is a positive emotional state that is characterized by feelings of joy, contentment, and satisfaction. It's a subjective experience that varies from person to person and can be influenced by a wide range of factors such as genetics, environment, and personal circumstances.
That's really interesting, David. So, how can we increase our chances of experiencing happiness?
There are many things we can do to increase our happiness levels, Mike. One of the most effective ways is to practice gratitude. Taking a few minutes every day to reflect on the things we're grateful for can help shift our focus from what we lack to what we have, and this can lead to increased feelings of happiness and contentment.
That's a great point, David. So, what are some other practices that can help us cultivate happiness?
Engaging in activities that bring us joy and purpose is another important factor in cultivating happiness. This could be anything from pursuing a hobby or interest to volunteering for a cause we believe in. Doing things that we enjoy and find meaningful can help increase our overall sense of well-being and happiness.
That makes a lot of sense, David. So, what about relationships? How do they factor into our happiness?
Positive relationships with friends, family, and other people in our lives are crucial for our happiness and well-being. Cultivating positive relationships with people who support and uplift us can help reduce stress, increase feelings of connectedness, and improve overall life satisfaction.
Those are some great insights, David. So, in your opinion, what is the key to long-term happiness?
The key to long-term happiness is cultivating a sense of purpose and meaning in our lives. This could mean pursuing a career or vocation that aligns with our values and passions, or finding ways to give back to our communities and make a positive impact in the world.
That's a really profound point, David. Thank you for sharing it with us. Before we wrap up, could you share some of your tips for our listeners on how to cultivate happiness in their lives?
Sure, Mike. My top 3 tips for cultivating happiness would be: first, gratitude practice. Take a few minutes every day to reflect on the things you're grateful for. Second, engage in activities that bring you joy and purpose. And third, cultivate positive relationships with people who support and uplift you.
Those are some great tips, David. I'm sure our listeners will find them helpful in their quest for happiness. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today.
It was my pleasure, Mike. Thank you for having me on the show.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode. We hope you enjoyed listening and gained some valuable insights on the science of happiness. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to us on our social media channels. And don't forget to subscribe to the Purpose Podcast to stay up to date on the latest episodes and topics. Before we go, I want to leave you all with this quote by the Dalai Lama. Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions.
Wise words, Mike. Thanks again for having me on the show.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode and learned something new. Don't forget to tune in for another exciting topic. Until then, this is Mike and David signing off.